We've seen these duos yesterday, but there's 25 from the last chance major we have not met yet. So let's go ahead and meet half of them right now.
Our first group of our last chance major qualifier teams, and let me tell you, they hope that is not the last time that you see them here this weekend. They're looking to put everything they've learned throughout the year to the test here against some players that already have the experience on the stage.
Look, just because it's their first time on stage does not mean it's their first time competing. They are familiar with what it takes to find themselves the victory royales that matter most, so they can keep their ticket punch for the global championship.
And with their backs up against the wall, they realize the situation that they're in. It is go big or go home. And let me tell you, with a long flight for some of these guys, they don't plan on making that come to fruition. This is just one group of so many superstars you're gonna see this entire weekend.
A high-profile duo, Janice and Reason, will finally get to take the stage. Now, Mini Minor, what can we expect from this duo from EU?
We can expect excitement, right? We have Janice, the big brain IGL, FNCS winning pedigree across different seasons. Reason, considered one of the best fighters in EU still. And I'm surprised it's taken them to the last chance major to qualify for today. I mean, after day number 1 of Major 1 of Grand Finals, they were in first place. They had an incredible performance, but ended up coming 3rd in that major, so just missing out on a spot. They had a little bit of contestation issues in the last chance major as well, so they just about battled their way through, but I'm glad they are here because they can put on a show.
Absolutely, and a duo from NA, Scented, Polarized. Now, of course, we know Scented has kind of shuffled around a couple times, but now paired up with Polarized. For maybe fans that aren't familiar with them, that are watching the Globals for the first time, David, what can you tell us about this duo?
I mean, Scented is going to be the brains of this duo, throwing it back to Invitational, where we saw him alongside Cold. But coming into this year, the search for a new duo began, and honestly, he didn't really find his feet until it was Major 3 where he picked up Polarized, but they found no success there. And then, of course, the last chance major is where they clutched up. If it's anything that I know about Scented, he's going to be looking towards the low ground. He loves being down there, especially when he was alongside Cole. It looked like they just ran through anybody that was in their way. I'm expecting to see more of that today.
You know what I'm expecting to see? The last half of the duos from the last chance major. Arena, give them a welcome.
Last, but certainly not least, our final group of players taking the stage, qualifying through the last chance major. They felt this pressure before, and like Levin said, it either bursts pipes or makes diamonds, and they're trying to shine bright this weekend.
These contenders have already proven that they know how to prevail through a last chance situation, and today's going to be no different. The Global Championship Battle Bus is leaving with or without you. It's time to see which 25 teams will claim their seats.
Those seats are a hot commodity this weekend. Only 50 teams will be able to make it there. We saw half of them qualify yesterday. Today, we will secure our final entrance onto that battle bus. Who do you want to see take it all?
Jacob PR, I need to give you a job as just my hype man. I just need you to follow me around and hype up everything that I do. But man, oh man, now we have the full lobby of players. Now, we wanted to highlight one in particular here for you. It's Kirby and it's Wiccacy. Now, originally, they were part of 2 separate duos, but their duo mates couldn't make it. So now they've been allowed to come together and form one duo for the Global Championship.
This is a really interesting storyline. Kirby and Wiccacy, of course, coming from different regions, a little bit of a language barrier potentially there, so they're going to have to sort of use the in-game tools to communicate, landing it to the north side of the map, just to the west of Sanguine Suites. Really interesting drop spot. I think they might have a few issues with Storm Surge, with teams actually using that massive mountain that's just outside of that drop to take advantage of them, but anything can happen. This is why I wanted to talk about this year, because literally anything can happen. We've never seen them play together before, so literally, who knows what's going to happen?
It's a little bit of an X factor, right? You never know what could happen, and Fortnite loves to do this thing where when you don't know what could happen, that's when the craziest things happen. A last duo here, FKS and Adapter. What do you want to talk about this duo, Vid?
Listen, I mean, I love where they are dropping. Kenjutsu crossing. Of course, we saw Queasy and Eveno do very, very well from this drop spot yesterday, right? Kind of taking the reins over from them. And honestly, I was looking towards it because I was like, hey, I think they can do very good from this drop spot. But of course, it's the lower bracket. It's Fortnite. It's the global championship. We love to always mix up a little bit of drama in there. And I was checking out socials a little bit earlier on this morning, and it looks like Suns and Anon might be switching over to contest this duo. So my eyes are going to be towards that fight as we jump in to these first couple of games.
That is crazy. And if I remember correctly, these guys were at Invitational, right? So they already have some LAN experience. Do you feel like that could play a factor coming in today?
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about it, right? Any of the duos that have experience, especially the ones that have been, you know, together when it comes to an international event or just playing in person alone. And then, of course, you know, some of these duos, one half of them kind of have that experience as well. So I'll be excited to see, you know, if they can kind of take the reins and make sure that they stay cool, calm, and collected under the pressure. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned they're now contested because that just shows what the lower bracket can do. Anything can happen. These guys would have been preparing to be uncontested. Now they are contested by Suns and Anon. I mean, that's going to throw a huge spanner in the works, and that is crazy because they would have been preparing. Yes, we're going to rotate here to get our surge, no one landing on us. We'll be chilling, we'll be enjoying ourselves. Next thing you know, 2 Australians, they're flying in, and things are all going out the window. All the plans are like, hang on a sec, what's happening here? So this is why we talk about adaptability so much. Not only in the whole game, the whole meta, the whole season, per day in this format. That's when you need to be adaptable as well.
And I wanted to kind of bring it back to full circle. Something we talked about originally was it's only 5 games. We're used to kind of seeing either 6 games one day or a total of 12, right, spread across. Only 5 games, though it's one less. It sounds like, it's just one less game. It's actually that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely tough. And one thing that I want to talk about, right, when it comes to the mentality, you must be thinking about to qualify to the global championship, right? For these upper bracket teams, you pretty much had to place bare minimum top 10, right? And that's EU. That was a very, very large region. But for a lot of the smaller regions, it was a lot tighter for that, right? So they're used to kind of like winning or placing very, very high. Yesterday, they had to get bottom 25, right? So surely that's kind of affecting the mental a little bit. But then those last chance major teams, they're used to clutching up. I mean, they made it all the way to the last event of the year, right? The last one to actually make it to the global championships, they clutched up. Today is a clutch situation. Yeah, and one team that are synonymous with clutch, Steno and Lucy. I was speaking to a few people earlier, a few people were around me. I was like, who do you think is going to win today? I think they were Danish. They said Steno and Lucy. And they're Danish as well, of course. This is a fantastic. I'm excited to see how this year. Yeah, give it a round of applause.
Wow.
Cheer, why not? Yeah, give it. Because, I mean, these guys are fantastic. I really love watching them play. They just seem to know how each other play so well. They vibe off each other so well as well. And, of course, they have LAN experience as well. They did so great at Gamers Day. I think it was last year they did so great. So I'm excited to see if they can continue and bring that LAN experience, that chemistry that they have in a LAN environment to this event. Because, I mean, they have the fans for it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's say, you know we have these 5 games. Do we just send everything, right? At this point, we've got to make top 25. You could argue maybe just try and do something and kind of keep any kind of strategy secret and just hope that you can kind of save that for tomorrow. With only 5 games, though. Is that enough wiggle room, man? I feel like it's just not. You just got to go full send now.
Nah, I mean, if you're holding back now, I think you're trolling a little bit, honestly, right?
Right? I mean,
full send for sure. And that's the thing, though, about Fortnite. And I love the fact that you're talking about strategy because I feel like we have 2 major different play styles, right? People who like to play a little bit more passive, and then we have those aggressive duos, ones that are looking for those 1 pop-off games with 10+ eliminations. I'll be excited to see which duos kind of pull out each one of those strategies.
Yeah, and of course, I think you have to just use the strategies that you practice for the first couple of games. If things go wrong and you have to pull out the grand final strategy, then do it. Because if you don't do it now, you might not even make it to the grand final. So there's no point in hiding them away. We saw some great strats yesterday from Zagu and Pepper with using the shield mushrooms to get some extra surge. Some great ideas from these teams that we haven't seen on other regions. And that's what this is all about. Who's going to pull what out of the hat?
I love that, too. I mean, social media yesterday and even today was just like, what is their strategy? Yes, that's what we want to see. We want to see what they're thinking, what they're cooking, and then come out tomorrow. And that could be like the difference maker, them winning and becoming global champions. That would just be wild. Another duel, we cannot not talk about them. It's King, it's Phaser. They did not make the top 25, but yesterday, King hit just the most disgusting snipe shots. The dome to secure Surge as well. What can they do here?
I mean, that's just skill. Seriously, there's no like coach, there's no VOD revealing that'll allow you to hit those shots. So, you know, obviously the skill is on in the cohesion. And I think that
the relentless retreat, we saw them sort of contesting a team there yesterday. It was Cal Gamer and Seven Man. They're both still going there, but they're doing it in a different sort of way. I'm interested to see how that Osborne goes. I think for both teams, it didn't really work out. They were both sort of stuck in no man's land. What's going on? Are we going to try and fight? Are we going to try and disengage? I didn't even know what was going on there. So maybe they're going to try and be a little bit more structured today. They're going to either fight or they're going to disengage. I think it's going to be the latter because the stakes are that much higher.
You saw him on screen there for a moment. Kanata, Agers. Oh, let's bring it back, okay? Kanata, Agers, going up against Thomas HG yesterday, it felt pretty one-sided, right? They had a couple games off spawn. Are they contested today?
Nope. And honestly,
they qual.
Yeah, well, that's what I would say. That's what I predict, right? But Kanata, you know, he hit the socials. He was like, yeah, we only made it off spawn 2 games. And both of those games, headshots. Yeah. Headshot snipes actually were the ones that actually ended up closing out their games for them in both of those scenarios. So maybe there's something they have to switch up a little bit there, maybe a little bit of an adjustment. Maybe they're not used to dealing with those snipers, but I'm sure they can do it.
I mean, the biggest problem for this team throughout this whole year was Storm Surge coming out of that racetrack spot. And they were uncontested in Major Number 3 Grand Finals. They fixed their Storm Surge problems, and Vivid, would you like to remind me what happened in Major 3 Grand Finals on NA?
Oh, they won.
Oh, they won, that's right. So hopefully today, if they can find that same mentality, that same way of playing, they'll do all right.
Well, I'm getting word. It is that time. We are about to kick off the lower bracket of Global Championship Day number 2. So casters, take us in.
Now is the moment you have all been waiting for. Game 1 of the lower bracket is ready to get underway. And Taco, if I had a seat here, I would be on the edge of my seat ready to call this action.
You can feel the nerves that have just been kicking the entire time. Everyone here is just wide awake. And the battle bus is as well, because we're already heading into game number 1.
This is it. This is the start of a journey for some, the continued journey for others. We've already seen some drop spots being switched up. Other players are sticking straight to the plan, but we're going ahead and looking at some of these contested battles right out of the game. Reason and Janice going up against Curb and Whiskey a little bit, but it looks like they're actually going to split off. They don't want to go ahead and hold on to one spot, and as soon as they realize it's safe, they go back to the game plan.
Up at the far north side, Giannis immediately heading for this crude harbor drop. It seems as though Giannis and Reason, maybe with the intentions of not trying to eat early surge damage, but as we can tell, the 50-50s, they have begun. Teams that got the better drops already letting their opponents know. Chubbs with an early 2-piece eliminations to start the game.
Yeah, this is his continued journey from yesterday. He fell below that top 25 threshold, looking to make up for it here today. Pamstu and Fatch, on the other hand, they thought they were going to have a huge contested battle. We saw it yesterday, but it doesn't look like Stains and Data are going to go ahead and contest them, or at least not right out of the gates.
Stain and Data is maybe taking a moment to reconsider things given how the circumstances went up against Seti and Cammy yesterday, but here at Kenjutsu Crossing, Adapter, KS, trying to be careful. They know that they've got pressure looming elsewhere inside of this POI. It's going to be Suns and Anon, who actually seemingly switched up. Initially, were appearing as though Suns and Anon were going to head towards Naughty Nets, but maybe because of Adil and Savage's presence, thought otherwise.
Yeah, they had it uncontested yesterday. Did not work out for them. So I feel like they're just confident. They're ready to take whatever challenge is going to be before them. They want a little bit more loot, a clear path towards the middle of the zone, even though this time it's on the corner. And right now they're trying to go for the flag, and third-party shots already interrupting this off-spawn battle. That's going to force Adapter back, and he might have to go ahead and loot. He only has one combat SMG and not much to work with. But while they giving him time, that's FKS. They're trying to put the pressure on so that way his teammate can get a better loadout.
But at the same time, they're just letting the capture point go for free. And in fact, it seems as though there is some danger hanging on over by Naughty Nets. Saw a nice collection elimination there from Steno onto Mr. Savage. That could definitely play some spoiler effects for game 1.
But if Fadil finds himself alive somehow, some way, You heard all the nice things Mr. Savage said about him, but make some noise. Clicks and Epic will contested over towards Mega City, but I feel like that's no different. All season long, they've been contested about 2 or 3 other teams, but there's so much space to work with. There's so much loot to share. As long as they don't get caught off guard, it's business as usual.
But at the same time, there is so much traffic inside of Mega City, and as far as the vault is concerned, there's definitely something worth fighting over. You have to expect that regardless of where that high card spawn is at, people are going to be looking to make sure to take out whoever actually secures that vault key card.
Oh, wow. Actually, they weren't necessarily contested. They were taken out on their drop. You saw Video go ahead and get that reboot card, trying to give his teammate a second chance at life. Oak is here, ready to put some respect on his name, already getting 1 elimination. He's looking for another, but first, he has a stop to make. Let's clean up this loot. Let's try to get as jam-packed as possible. You see the fallen teammate, Deguro, was going to be right above him. He knows no matter what, as he continues his journey, he's going to have to try to get that reboot card, because doing this alone is not something anybody wants to face.
But at the same time, that siphon there for Okis definitely gave him a nice little bit to work with in comparison to Dieta, who doesn't have shields. If Okis wants to pressure this, he's definitely more than capable of doing so, but it seems as though his mentality right now is just to stay on the move. Being in this sort of solo situation, deep in the jungle biome here at Rumble Ruins, especially in this lower elevation territory, he might be able to sneak up on some other teams.
Yeah, I like the way you mentioned Surge as one of the first things, because yesterday, if it's shown us anything, Surge is not the easiest thing to come by in a lobby like this. And uncontested this time around, Canal and Agers getting a chance to fight off spawn, and immediately they go to what they know works from the past, trying to get Surge underneath their own belt, so that way they don't have to worry about it too much later in the game. But Vico and Pink, another team that has experience from day one, contested by Acorn and Cold. This time around, they're ready to take their fights to their opponent, and on the other side of things, it is going to be Bully and Shadow.
But look at this hype battle as well between Pink and Bully, both of them trying to provide cover fire for their fraggers down below. As far as Vico and Shadow are concerned, a little bit of a pause here, not directly trying to challenge. Seems as though Vico is trying to look for a regroup circumstance, but again, you have to keep some form of a barrier between yourself and another team. Bully just trying to do what he can as far as making sure that he's able to suppress Pink in the process, but they're not trying to give up any sort of resources for free here.
Yeah, and you can kind of already see in the mini-map just a little bit. You've seen it here. Bully and Shadow, they had no intention on trying to take that engage. They split up to try to get even more Surge early on in the game before the zone does get too small. Snazy and Podesai probably have the fan favorites on their side in the stadium. I hear them loud and proud already, and they're trying to go ahead and use that energy to fuel them here today. A little bit of a misstep on day one, but they're picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and ready to put on a show.
Just because you stumble doesn't mean you fall, and it's got to be such an invigorating feeling knowing that you have so many fans in the venue just cheering for you every step of the way. It's not even like these guys are getting a piece of the action right yet. They're just moving, and you've got the French fans cheering for them. It's just awesome to see that kind of display.
One of the best controller players in the lobby. Polarized, teamed up with Scented over on the other side. They're taking a split that in day one belonged to another team. It's probably part of their strategy. Use this to try to qualify. We'll figure it out later, because that's the biggest things. At this stage in the game, there's no reason to save all your secrets for that championship Sunday, because you have to be able to make it there. Mini Miner said it himself to open up the show, because what good are those strategies? What good are those tricks underneath your sleeves if you're not able to use them in the biggest moments possible?
Trouble now. Not for Podesai just yet, kind of lurking around this bush. He knows that he's got a couple contenders down beneath him, and as for Shalom and MK Papa, they want to take their time. I mean, kind of tough to try and fight that uphill battle, quite literally. So instead, just continue to wait things out, wait for a better opportunity to look for a rotation out. It can be difficult as well when you're playing right here on the edge side of where these zone pulls are happening, because again, for Podesai, it seems as though the intent is just to prioritize positioning.
One team that changed their positioning overall to another, King, Phaser. You can already see they're over towards Shattered Slab. Zone is pulling all the way towards the eastern side of the map. They have a long journey to go, and you can even see it at the edge of Mega City here on Pink and Vico. So they have even more rotations to go later on in the game. But for now, it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid who beat him to the punch. The top of the hill, just west of Mega City. And they immediately got out of Mega City because that's one of the things we talked about to start the show is how contested it actually is. They could easily take a building on top, but they're taking a little bit of the safer route or what they thought would be because right now Pink and Vico are slowly but surely looking like they're going to try and sneak up and see if they have any opportunity to take over. But if you can see in the mini-map, they're going to choose to go the other way. It's not something they want to battle this early on in the game.
You can already see some shots, though, coming from a little bit of a distance here. Rapid just trying to be wary of the surroundings, and it makes perfect sense why you'd want to ditch from Mega City ASAP. When there's 4 separate teams landing there, again, it's just so much traffic to actually deal with. So why risk it when every single game can be so important? I think for Rapid and Batman Booga, not necessarily getting max resources, max materials, it's not as bad as it might initially look because they can always find the refreshes after the fact because, again, Storm Surge strategies were definitely an issue for a lot of teams in day 1. And this is day 2. It's not like the competition's gotten any less. Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these teams taking that prime real estate to where they know players are going to rotate into. Video. We've seen him go for the reboot card onto Mr. Savage. Uncontested Naughty Nets. That's a no-brainer that he's going to get him back into the game, back up as a duo. But as you can see in the minimap, they are split up. They called out this strategy to start the game. They're trying to cover more ground. They're trying to take more space away. This also allows them to get better lines of sight around the map for their Storm Surge. They already know what has happened in the past when Storm Surge is lacking. It forces you to make plays. It's almost like you don't have control over the game, and they are trying to do their best to keep control of their own destiny. It's definitely something that has haunted Mr. Savage and Vidil all chapter long as far as Major 3 was concerned, even leading into that last chance Major, where we saw them switching up their drop spot even over to Drift Ridge just because of the fact that Mr. Savage is mentioning he doesn't like to be contested. Sure, they got it uncon then, but it's still never easy whether you're uncon or contested as far as establishing a solid Storm Surge strategy. Yep, Fanayan and Moneymaker. Moneymaker probably one of our youngest players competing here today, showing that anything is truly possible as long as you have a chance, and they've given themselves just that, an opportunity on the biggest stage in the world when it comes to Fortnite. And you can already see the augment that he's choosing out. First Assault, Scope Salvo, 2 of the biggest ones that are needed when it comes to Storm Surge. It's going to allow them to keep their distance and keep hitting those shots. Like seeing this from Kitos as well. We're talking about augments, but right now the prioritization's onto Snazy. And it's looking good. Trying to see if they can push forward in this box fight. Shots being taken by Podesai as well, just to even trade out so far. No real damage inflicted by either side just yet. But Yuma and Jamon, they can definitely feel the pressure, and Podesai definitely aware of the fact that they've got more company coming. We're already taking advantage of their positioning high up on the side of that mountain, trying to third party take some shots onto both Pink and Vico, who took down Okus, adding more to their own Storm Surge. Weapon cache are going to be there, and you can see Yuma and Jamon probably share that same weapons cache, so they're going to be forced to wait till Snazy and Podesai leave off of this spot to try to pick up the scraps, figure out whatever is left along. But a team that, you know, taking a lot of time towards Slappy Shores. My only question for them is how is their surge? Because a lot of the teams are on the western side of the zone for now. They haven't begun to rotate over towards Slappy Shores. Not a lot of teams landing here right out of the gates. So for them, that's probably what's on their mind right now. We've looted up. We've got everything we need. Now we just need Storm Surge. And hey, we're talking about Storm Surge so often for Pink and Vico. This is going to be a massive contributing factor, getting that elimination onto Okus, just taking full advantage of that 2v1 situation. And that's something that's not necessarily going to be easiest to come by at this stage of the game. And for Rapid and Batman Booga, again, we revisit, we talk about the fact they left Mega City so early, and they just haven't managed yet to find that pressure situation to actually secure eliminations for the refreshes that they would like. And they don't necessarily have time to just farm resources either, because there's other teams moving in at this point. There's other teams already establishing good positioning off of earlier rotation. So if you try to expend your time farming resources, you're just going to keep getting lit up.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at 7-man's inventory now, you can already see they won the ball over towards Relentless Retreat, but it's a little unorthodox. Typically, you would grab something to pack a punch, whether it's a Sharp Tooth, an Infiltrator, or even a Maven, but he's going to go without it for now, hoping that that Mythic Stinger does more than enough damage in a moment's notice to be able to survive. It all depends on how you control that recoil, honestly, because I remember that thing go brr.
It's so obvious that the intention battle. The question is, will they actually manage to force themselves into that type of situation? And Rift Island can definitely be a location where we'd expect those battles to come, but even all throughout day one, we hardly saw any sort of contestation over this Rift Island. Sending on the way up, though, definitely having some issues as far as maintaining his shields are concerned. Those are going to be completely depleted. Granted, they have ample shield potions to make up for it, but it's going to be Hen, it's going to be Bass actually looking to contest. They don't want to let this Rift Island objective points go for free.
If only they saw the damage that was put on both of these players before they even touched down on the island. Surely they would try to take advantage of it. And you can see one man's trash, another man's treasure. Mero and Cooper sneaking up on the side, trying to take away the position. The French team of Stacey and Podesai also willing to contest this Rift Island. And that's one of the things I was thinking. It was very, very passive yesterday. Even solos were able to take it. But as the VOD review goes on, as time passes, players are going to realize there's nobody up there. But when everybody thinks the same, now we have 4 teams on top of Rift Island ready to battle it out. One of them, Hen and Vask, 141 above the damage threshold. They're going to be the ones to contain it, plus 15 points for them, and that's going to be huge because we already see teams qualify with those points of the objectives.
Every little bit counts, but we've gotten a good idea of what's been happening.